Which of these multi-millionaire Simons started out as a simple postboy? The answer is the gorgeous Simon Cowell.
Any job better than no job? Can beggars afford to be choosers in these tough economic times? As I mentioned earlier, 2.5 million of us are currently without work. That number includes blue-collar, white-collar workers, as well as tens of thousands of graduates. And what's more, and I think we all know this, the figure's going to rise, make no mistake, maybe to 3 million, and probably stay that way for some years to come. And yet I refuse to believe it's all doom and gloom, because there are nearly 500,000 jobs out there going begging. They may not be highly paid, cushy numbers. Some are doubtless pretty grim. But surely anything is better than nothing. Nothing leads to nothing. But who knows where a humble job in a postroom can lead. In Simon Cowell's case, it led to a £165 million fortune. The man who gave us Susan Boyle. Hey, fantastic. A quick search online this morning and I found a health and safety job going with a salary of 35 grand. Literally, you don't need any training for that. See someone having fun, you tell them to stop. 35 grand. Secretarial assistant post, 22,000 a year. And one for assistant gardener, 16,500 a year. Aren't these more appealing than £60 a week benefit? It was Lord Mandelson who caused outrage last year when he suggested British workers were lazy. Maybe he's right. Now, we mentioned right at the beginning of the show, it's quite a well-known story, I mean, that you worked as a tea boy for people, but also your parents' garden centre. So are you the kind of guy, Rick, who would have worked rather than do nothing?
I think in the day and age that we're in now, it's very different to when I was a kid. I think a lot of people who do want to work, you know, they look at... obviously, you just picked out some jobs there that had some, you know, pretty good salaries. I say pretty good, you know, OK salaries, depending on what the job was and stuff. I think it's very different today. I think people do want to work, like I say, but, you know, they look at some of the salaries that are being offered, and it's virtually... It's not slave labour, but
my first salary was 4.5 grand a year. And you take the money...
But that was when?
Well, 1988.
Okay, no, but... and don't get me wrong.
You take the money.
Yeah.
The average salary then, I think, people were starting in banks on 20 grand. You know, 4.5 grand a year was 1,800 more than you got on the dole. So it's twice the dole.
But I think it's an age thing as well. If you're young, then I think, you're better off being in a job because it will lead to other things. I think you're better off doing an internship because at least it'll lead to other things. Do it for your travel money and your sandwich money or something, because you might get a shot at doing something else, you know. And I think also the attitude of, well, I'm just going to sit here and wait for the right job to come along. OK, you wait. But I mean, you know, and I also think we've got a lot of overqualified people in this country right now as well. And that causes certain, you know, I don't know, people obviously don't want to think, well, I've studied all this while, why on earth am I going to go and do that job when I should really be doing this, you know?
I suppose there's an element, if you're carrying 30 grand, 40 grand debt, and you start looking at jobs paying a little bit more than minimum wage, you're going to sit there and think, you know, I'm going to be working for 200 years and I'll make no money. I can see the point. I'm interested in what Rick said, Larry, that maybe times are different today. When I graduated, that was Black Wednesday. That was the crash. Well, so everybody I knew that had a job lost it.
Absolutely. And I was working on that money, and I wasn't living at home either. I had a mortgage at 22, and I was earning, I think, 6, and my sister was earning about 4.5. So we really, really struggled, and I did rubbish jobs. But I was always very clear about. I didn't care about, you know, I cleaned, you know, waited tables, did all that, because I didn't care. I would rather be working than not working, because I think in terms of your self-esteem, in terms of my self-esteem, in terms of wanting to be out and about and not sit at home and be depressed. But I know somebody at the moment who's unemployed, and there are various issues that I hadn't considered. For example, this person lives outside of London in the kind of countryside. He doesn't have a car. A lot of the jobs require him to get there in a car. But the public transport is either non-existent or really expensive, so that then he has to factor those costs into whether he can do it. I think Rick's absolutely right. If you're young and you think the job might lead to something, absolutely. But if you're in your 50s, let's say, and you're offered minimum wage, and it's clearly not going to lead to anything, that's hard. It's easy for those of us in work to say, just get a job.
But there's still opportunity if you're working that you won't have if you don't.
I employed an intern to come and work with me recently on a very low wage, because the idea was that I teach her and she helps me. And I interviewed a whole load, lots and lots of very, very overqualified, you know, early 20s people. And some of them were fantastic, and one of them wrote me a letter saying, this is just the job job I've been looking for. I've spent the last 6 months sofa surfing. I thought, well, I'm really going to employ you now, because actually, this job is not about, it's about me as the employer, not about you for a start. But this girl came to work for me. Within 2 months, she'd been offered a job because she went for interviews, she was working. You know, she had a sense of excitement about what she was doing, and she could be demonstrating that she was out there trying to contribute, and that's really important.
I think that's a good salutary lesson there. Huey.
I mean, I think it's all about hustle and the way you think and the way you're brought up. I mean, I come from New York, where you got to hustle. And, you know, as a resident of the United Kingdom, my wife's British, and I'm not allowed to take any public funds. So there are a lot of people...
Can I ask you bluntly, because it's a question it's really starting to trouble me, how I've changed my view on this, but do you think benefits culture in Britain is doing us more harm than good?
Yeah. Yes, I do. It's not really my strong suit, but I think that there's a lack of hustle, that a lot of people from other parts of the European Union are doing jobs that British people won't do. And I come from the same kind of background that you do. I would rather work for my self-esteem purposes, even though I'm not making a lot of money. My wife, for instance, changed careers just very recently, went to a college to learn how to do something else, and she did do some work experience just to get in there and get her foot in the door to possibly lead to something else. And I think if you have a chance to work at McDonald's or whatever like that, at least you're making some money. At least you're doing something.
And you get a free meal and a nice uniform.
Yeah, exactly. Well, aside from all the jokes about it, it is a matter of hustle. And if you really want to do something, if you want to sit and collect benefits, there's millions of people that do that, especially in the United States. They do that as well.
I need to say one thing, which is if you've got children, I think that the issue becomes very complicated, because you've either got to pay for childcare, you've got to find childcare, you've got to pick the kids through.
Agreed. We've got a few calls. Let's go to you, Kirsty.
OK, first we have Sue on line 3.
Morning, Sue.
Hello.
Hi there. Anything better than nothing?
Yeah, definitely. My partner, he's got a degree.
Yeah.
And he's a bin man now because he couldn't get working computers.
You couldn't get working computers? I thought that was the boom industry. I thought there were jobs for anybody who could do stuff with computers. OK, thanks for the comment, Sue.
We have Hannah.
It's the IT crowd. They never really have that much to say. Anyway, let's have another one.
Hannah on line 2.
Hannah, good morning.
Hi.
Hi there. Anything better than nothing?
Absolutely. I think that I would much rather be working just now, even if I'd be prepared to waitress. I've been looking for a job since February, but
you can't find
all of my experience is working in costume for theatre and film and TV, and the industry is very quiet at the moment.
But you're saying, you can't get a job as a waitress, or?
No, basically the problem at the moment seems to be that every interview that I've been to, the employer has always said to me, well, you're qualified in a very specific area, and if we employ you, what is, the chances of you finding a costume job within, 6 weeks of us giving you a job and you running off to go and do that? You're just going to leave us in the lurch.
What about lying about your qualifications?
Well, basically, I would have to erase, the last 6 years of my CV.
Well, do it.
Yeah, if it's a matter of you getting a job or not.
I mean, they're telling me that someone was prosecuted for doing it, but that's if you add in things. Right. But if you just remove things, and all of a sudden, what have you been doing? Well,
nothing.
I've been travelling. Yeah. There you go, that's always a good one. I've been travelling. You can tell that one to the tax man, they won't know.
Right,
yeah, I've been out of the country. I've been paying tax on my odd jobs as I've worked my way around the world, and now I'm home. I've arrived just at the wrong time. I'll be here forever. All I've ever wanted to do is be a waitress. I don't want to put ideas into your head, Anna. But, I mean, isn't that a solution?
I like it. I think I'm going to try that
one. Next.
OK, we have Melody on line 1.
Melody, good morning.
Hi.
Good morning. Anything better than nothing, Melody?
Definitely. I currently work at McDonald's, and it's just the worst job in the world. But
not even the uniforms cheer you up?
Pardon?
The uniform doesn't cheer you up? The free lunches?
It's the worst uniform in the world. I just hate everything about it. But it's better than getting no money at all.
Do you have friends that do nothing?
Yeah. And, you know, I keep telling them, apply to McDonald's, but they're like, no, I won't work at McDonald's. And it's like, okay then, you know, be broke if you want to be broke. But, you know.
Is the money at McDonald's that much more than you would get on benefits?
Well, it's £60 a week, roughly, you get in benefit.
Yeah, but you get housing benefits.
Yeah, I think you get about 400 every 2 weeks.
There you go.
Yeah.
So
That is more.
okay, you got to pay tax, and you're going to have to pay more tax.
And travelling to get to work.
Travelling to get to work. But, you know, £60 to sit at home doing nothing.
But there are also the fact that you can have single moms who can't get out of the house and have to find childcare and all that kind of stuff. There's always an other side to the coin. But for Melody, you single?
Yeah.
So do you have any children?
No.
So for you, this McDonald's is kind of like a good option. But for a lot of people who can't get out of the house.
Yeah.
No, I bear that in mind. But you know, it's just interesting that Melody has friends who presumably like her, single, child-free, who choose not to work. And I do think that maybe it is a choice at the end of the day. Want to move on though. Thanks for the calls on that one too.